Our first guest tonight is an Emmy and two-time Academy Award-winning actress and director. You know from so many movies, including Taxi Driver, The Accused, The Silence of the Lambs, Contact, and Nyad. She stars in A Private Life, which is in theaters January 16th. Let's take a look.
Il a tué la tante et puis sa femme.
Je croyais que t'aimais pas les huîtres.
C'est vrai, j'aime pas du tout ça. Tu sais, j'ai trouvé des choses compromettantes chez lui dont il se débarrassait.
Tu fais ses poubelles?
Oui, c'est mon boulot.
Tu trembles.
Je suis persuadée qu'il m'a vu.
Mais non.
Please welcome to the show the one, the only Jodie Foster, everybody. I'm so happy you're here.
Me too.
I also couldn't help but think that the whole audience was watching that being like, why
What?
is she speaking French? I bet they were like, oh no, it's like when you're watching a Netflix movie and you're like, I think I turned on the closed captioning.
And you can't get it off?
You can't get it
I like
off.
that, yeah.
But this movie is wonderful.
Thank you.
You play a therapist who is investigating a patient's murder.
Yes. She's a psychoanalyst, which
yes.
is a little bit different because we don't really do psychoanalysis here.
Yes.
More Freud and misogyny and all that stuff. We canceled him. But they still do it there.
Yeah.
So,
Did you have to research the idea of like being a psychoanalyst? Or
Yeah,
did you know
yeah.
much about it beforehand?
Well, I only knew about it from going to college and literature and you know,
Right.
looking at it through the lens of psychoanalysis, but not that people actually did it, which they do. They lie on the couch, and there's a nice little cushion for your head so you don't get your nasty hair gel on the couch. And it was very interesting people, very intellectual people, and I said, boy, I'll never do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I first went to therapy, I realized that it wasn't going to be a couch, and I felt very ripped off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like when you watch, like, growing up, like, even in cartoons, like, everybody who went to a therapist got to lie on a nice couch.
Wouldn't that be nice? But I think you'd fall asleep.
Yeah, I would definitely. But I'm very boring to myself, so that. So this is, but it's also a lot of different genres. Like, we were talking backstage. It's like, it feels like a Woody Allen film at times, a Hitchcock film at times, and I imagine the script was one of the reasons you decided to go over to France and shoot a movie.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of plot to it, which is unlike a lot of smaller independent movies. So there is a very interesting way to go about finding things out. It also has a little romance. It has a little comedy. You can do this genreless thing in France. We can't do it here because
true.
films have to decide exactly what demographic they're marketing to. So they don't let us just willy-nilly be like a little bit thriller, a little bit comedy.
Whereas this is like this is a movie for people who like movies, which is a
Yeah.
more fun kind of movie to make.
Yeah, with great actors.
Yes,
Actors.
really great actors, and mostly French actors. So your French is so good,
Yeah.
but you. But I mean, this isn't a film where like you're like stumbling through your French. Like it is, you are playing an American, so
Yes.
at least that is we know you've learned French. But how old were you when you learned French?
I was 9.
Okay.
My mom put me in an immersion French school called the Lycée Français de Los Angeles. And in one day, I had to do math, science, geography, like everything in French.
And so you're already. I mean, again, by 9, you already were an actor.
Yes.
And what
Yes.
was it that your mom thought? Like, what was the catalyst for her deciding that you should go to a French school?
You know, she'd never traveled anywhere. She'd never been outside the United States. She had been once to Tijuana for a weekend and once to, I think, Havana, Cuba in the 50s for a weekend.
Okay.
So she read magazines and we had a Peugeot car and she painted the house like a terracotta color like Rome. All she wanted to do was to go somewhere else and reinvent herself. So she finally went on like a bus trip, a tourist bus trip. She came back and she said, that's it. You're gonna put you in a French school. You're gonna become a French actor. We're gonna move there. And I mean, I kind of did that.
Yeah. I mean, eventually. I mean, you must have been a huge disappointment to her while you were just an American actor.
Yeah, I really was. I was. And the French people also they don't, even because I speak French so well, they forget that I like things like football and
Yeah.
Halloween and Jell-O and, stuff like that.
That's so funny. So American football, obviously, and
Yes.
Halloween, those are just completely foreign to them.
Yeah, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And they also, when I was there, the director kept saying, Jodie's preparing very, very assiduously for this movie, and she's really serious about it. She's been going to the gym every day. And I was like, dude, I go to the gym every day because I'm an American. This is like what we do. And as she smoked more cigarettes and drank more red wine, it was just like, this preparation, this gym thing.
I like that the only way anyone in France goes to the gym is if they're about to do a movie.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I'm actually a little surprised that you're an American football fan. Are you an avid fan?
Avid fan.
Okay.
Yeah, I
and
do.
was this something you like French that you adopted at a young age?
When I was little, maybe you guys remember this, there was the International House of Pancakes, and they had these little helmets. Every time you ate a pancake or got a pancake, you'd get a helmet. And I was just, I needed to collect all of them. And I became obsessed with which teams were which and memorizing them. And then, like 30 years later, I found them in a store.
Oh, the old, like a full IHOP, yeah.
Yeah, so I have them, I have an apartment in New York and one in Los Angeles, so I have the full AFC, NFC in both places.
Wow.
Just so I can move them around.
Yes.
And
we actually had these. There was like a pencil machine in my school where you would just put in 25 cents, and just get. And when I started the show, it was like, oh, I want I just like having the same thing. Just I want one of each, and it's just.
But then I do things where during class. Well, as you know, it's a little thing called Wild Card Weekend next weekend.
Oh my God! Of course, yeah.
I'm
You must
very
be so
booked.
nice. They must have been so bored when you talked about this in France.
Oh, their eyes glaze over.
What is this wild card? Yeah.
What is the wild card? So I move the little helmets around.
You do. You get it ready.
Yeah.
What do you have a team? Are you a Rams fan?
Green Bay Packer.
Why
fan.
are you a Green Bay Packer fan?
Somebody gave me one of those cheese heads, and it was all over.
Yeah.
I was like, if I could wear this every day, I
Oh
would
my
wear
God.
this every day.
That's so funny that somebody saw you and was like, I know what she's gonna like.
That's just, we know what to get her for Christmas.
Did just to circle back, did your mom then also become a fluent French speaker?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, was she a football fan? No. She never spoke a word of French, so she forced me to translate everything for her.
So wait, she went on one bus trip, came back, and was like,
Yeah.
you're gonna speak French,
And
and
you're
also
gonna be my translator.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I did a movie there when I was 14. We got an apartment there, and I had to make every reservation. I had to do everything for her, and I guess it was a way for me to perfect the language.
This is the movie. Is this the movie you did when you were 14?
Yes.
Okay,
I did that
so
film.
just based on this poster, this does not look like it aged well.
No. It's a really bad movie. It's a terrible movie.
What did you do in this movie? Who did you play?
I play a young girl with a filthy mouth, and I live with my older sister who's going out with this guy, and I that's all I remember.
Yeah. You were a type back then of like
Yeah.
a young girl with a filthy mouth.
Yeah.
But you also you did your own skateboarding in the movie.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes. I brought my skateboard
Wow.
to France, and I think there's a scene in the movie where I'm skateboarding with a bunch of kids near the Eiffel Tower.
That's fantastic. I want to ask more about your movie
Yeah.
you're in now. We'll be right back with Jodie Foster. Welcome back, everybody. We're here with Jodie Foster. We're talking backstage. Your kids are older.
Yes, 27 and 24.
But I'm assuming, when you have young kids and you have your body of work, it must be fun to show them your body of work.
They never saw any of my movies, really. They saw Bugsy Malone when they were little, and
Okay.
then everything else had blood and gore, and
Yeah.
so I never showed them any of my films. And my older son, I don't think he knew I was an actor till much later. I think he thought I was a construction worker. I gave him a tool belt once when I said, come to work and visit me, and I gave him like a little plastic tool belt and a little plastic hat, and he just put the two together, and that was it.
It's really funny that it would take that long. Also, your kids are bright, so it's very surprising to me that it would take them that long to put it together.
And he's the one that became an actor. as
Wow,
well.
okay, yeah. At some point, though, they've seen Silence of the Lambs, I
Yes,
assume. Okay,
yes, they
great.
saw Silence of the Lambs when one of them was 18 and the other one was,
That's a good time. What about, we were talking about your mom, and obviously she was a huge part of your life, and yet you did these very adult movies as a very young actor. When Taxi Driver came along, your mom, did either of you have any hesitation about it?
I'd already done a movie with Scorsese, which
Right.
was Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and we were big fans of his. My mom is a huge film fan, so she picked me up from school and she took me every day to see films. I think probably to hide because she was depressed. And also because of this travel thing. So she would take me to see German films, Italian films, every type, Japanese movies, every type of film that was in a different language. And then she would kind of interrogate me at the end and say, "What happened? And why do you think he did that?" As a kind of film school.
That's fantastic. So when it came up to do Taxi Driver, you guys were both like, "This is exciting."
Yeah,
Get to work with
yeah.
Scorsese again.
And for Taxi Driver, I went there in my school uniform. She was like, "If you think she can do this," I had my Peter Pan collar, my blazer, my little knee socks, and I think, I mean, the sort of the genius of Scorsese is that he knows how to play against type. So yeah.
You got to also at a very young age, younger certainly the most, host SNL, second season
yeah.
of SNL.
Not a highlight of my life.
Not a highlight?
No.
Why not?
It was scary, and they didn't quite know what to do with me, so they just kept putting me on people's laps,
Yeah.
which was weird. Also,
The 70s. I'm so
know.
sorry you grew up in the
I know.
70s.
But I was drinking something before we went on for the final live show, and it was like an Orange Julius, if you guys remember
I
that.
remember
It was
an Orange
lovely
Julius,
and
yeah.
sticky and sweet, and I dropped the whole thing on my pants, and I was sopping wet. You couldn't see it on camera,
Yeah.
but I was sticky and sopping wet, so that's my memory of the experience.
By the way, people were doing a lot worse things in the
Yes.
70s SNL than dropping Orange Julius's on their pants.
True.
I've heard you're someone who will read a review. Like you don't, you're not. I think a lot of actors are like, I don't care what people think about it. But was this something that also happened and started early in your career?
You know, it's just something we did in our family. And yeah, we read reviews. My mom would read reviews. She'd read the bad ones and the good ones. And yeah, I think I was taught to be stoic and to be resilient and not to complain and just sort of get on with it. And
Do you
there's
feel
good
like
parts to that and bad parts to that.
Do you feel like you ever got things from? Because I feel like, you know, obviously it always hurts when someone doesn't like something you do.
Yeah.
But if they talk about it in a way, you know,
Yeah.
that's intellectual,
Yeah.
you can actually learn something from a bad
Yeah,
review.
I think that's true. As a director, however, I'm not so brave.
Oh,
So,
gotcha.
yeah.
So
I-
as an
sometimes-
actor, you'll take the note, but if it's if the whole movie's your baby, you don't care for
sometimes if I know the film as a director is going to be a tough sell, then I might just get on a plane and go somewhere else and not read anything.
it. When your mom read the bad reviews to you as well, would she
Yeah.
like at least preface it with like this is a bad one or this is a good one, or would you just find
No,
out
she
together?
might say like, "Oh, I agree with that," or "Yeah, maybe work on that," or "That it's a funny thing, isn't it? I guess it is a funny thing. My mom really liked being negative.
Okay.
Because she felt like then you'd never be disappointed.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
She would come at it like any sort of like modicum of success is better than what we thought.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So you're always surprised. If something good happens, then you're surprised.
What about going to award shows over your career? Obviously, you've
Did
been at
that.
ones where you've won and ones where you've been nominated and didn't. How do you go into an award show night?
Well, there was a moment in the first award shows where I would break out in hives
Yeah.
when they said my name. And it was difficult for me with lots of flashbulbs, because in those days we had lots of flashbulbs. They didn't have the quality of film that they have now. But then I guess I got used to it, and it just feels like work.
Yeah. Do you feel like are you happy when they announce you as a winner? Are you happy?
Yeah, it's bingo. You
Yeah.
know, it's bingo. You're like, my name, my name. It's totally primitive. Even if you think that you're a deep person, you just become really
Yeah.
primitive. You just like, my name.
It's also like the many times where I've been like, oh, we're definitely, you know, this show. I'll be like, oh, we're definitely not going to win. We're not going to win. And then they read the nominees, and I'm like, I think we're going to win.
Maybe.
And then it turns out my initial instinct was the right
correct.
one. Yeah.
Yes.
Always trust your
happen.
first gut, it turns out,
Yeah, that
when
does
you're me at
happen.
an award show. The movie's so wonderful. It is so lovely to have you here.
Oh, you too.
Please come back soon.
Okay.
And this is Jodie Foster, everyone, A Private Life. Opens in theaters January 16th. We'll be right back. We'll see you in the video.